Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Rosa Maria. Today I have a great sewing project, and the project we're going to be making today is a hobo bag. This is really cute. I like how the corner is like a diamond shape or a triangle shape. It's really nice and is a cute, simple project that anyone can do that on a weekend. So why don't you grab your tools and your materials and let's get started.
First, you need to cut out your strap for the bag. So you're going to be cutting just one piece of the strap, and the size you're going to be cutting is 85 centimeters by 16 centimeters. And if you're using inches, the inches will be 33 and a half inches by 6 1/4 inch. So once you have cut that piece out, we're going to go and iron it. I place my fabric on my wool mat here so I can iron. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this printed side and I'm going to face it down, and then I'm going to fold it in half. So when you fold it in half, make sure your iron is really hot, and then you're going to press it very well, and you're going to continue to iron it in half. Make sure everything is nicely aligned before you start to continue to iron. Now that I finish folding the fabric in half, I'm going to reopen it. Okay. And then I'm going to use the crease line here that I made with the iron, and I'm going to refold the fabric and use that crease, that fold that we created as my guide, and refold, and then again take your iron and give it a good press. And then continue all the way to the end on this side. Now that I finish ironing this half of this side, now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to fold it in half, and reminding myself that the crease there is a guide to letting me know this is where we're going to be making the half. And then again, give it a good press, a good iron. I finished ironing both sides as a half. Now I'm going to refold this and make sure that it's aligned, both pieces are together, and then again use your iron to give it a good press. Now that I finish ironing it, I'm going to refold so you can see how it looks like when it's folded. As you can see, it's open, and then we're going to just close the flaps and fold it again. Very nice. Now I'm going to take my sewing clips, and I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to use a sewing clip just for the side where we have this opening here, and that's going to secure it so we can take it to the next step and start to sew. So finish adding your fabric clips onto the strap. As you can see here, I finished adding the fabric clips to the end here where it's open. And then we are going to take it to the sewing machine, and then we are going to stitch. So we're going to stitch along the side first where we have the fabric clips, all the way to the end here, and then once we finish stitching straight, we're going to stitch across, and then we're going to stitch going all the way up to finish it. Okay, so let's go to the sewing machine. I'm going to start to stitch. As you can see here, I use a tape to help me use it as a guide to guide the fabric through, because I will like to have the stitch as close as I can to the edge, but not too close. Okay, we're coming to an end. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take one stitch, move this up, okay, and then I notice I still need another stitch. Okay, put it down. Now I can move it, and then I can stitch across. I'm coming close. Now is to lift the foot presser. I went a little bit off. I shouldn't have, but I did. I'm gonna back stitch and then move the fabric, and then I'm gonna start to stitch all the way down again. We're coming to the end. Now back stitch. As you can see, we finished stitching the fabric, and now we're gonna go to our next step. The next step you need to do is you need to cut your lining piece, and we're gonna make the inner pocket. So make sure that you iron your fabric before you start, and we just need to cut just one piece for the inner pocket. And the size you're gonna be cutting is 32 centimeters by 32 centimeters. And if you're using inches, you're gonna be using 12.5 inches by 12.5 inches. So once you have that done, you're gonna fold the fabric in half. And see what I'm doing here? And then I'm gonna take my sewing pins and I'm just going to secure the fabric. Okay, so once I have the fabric secure, we need to leave a space open. So we're gonna be leaving an opening here. And for centimeters will be 7.5 centimeters. And for inches will be 3 inches. So I'm gonna be marking over here with my sewing pen. And this will let me know that this area I do not stitch. So we're gonna stitch here going down, and then we're gonna do the same thing, stitch here and go down. So the stitch length we're going to be using is 1 centimeters here, and if you're using inches would be 3/8 inches on these sides here. So let's go to the sewing machine and start to sew. As you can see, I removed the sewing pin out of the way, and I'm going to start to stitch. Back stitch. I finished this side. Now I'm going to work on this side here. Back stitch. We finished stitching and we left the opening. Now we're going to trim off the corners here and making sure that I don't cut off the stitch. Do that for both sides here. Okay. And then we're going to turn the fabric inside out. Use your bone folder to work on the corners to open it up. Once that's done, you are going to fold these little, you're gonna make sure that the opening is folded there, and then give it a good press. And then we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and then we are going to stitch right here across. As you can see, we're here at the sewing machine. Make sure that the opening is facing the section, because this is where we're going to stitch, and we're going to close it. Back stitch. And back stitch. As you can see, we finished stitching the opening of the inner pocket. Now I'm going to put this aside. You need to cut out one piece for your lining, and the measurements you need to do to cut out is 76 centimeters by 53 centimeters. And if you're using inches, of course, it's going to be 29 7/8 inches, and it'll be 20 7/8 inches for the lining. So now I'm going to tilt it this way, so it makes it easier because, for you guys to see what I'm doing. So now I'm going to fold the lining piece, as you can see here, and then I'm going to make a little crease over here, and I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to take my lining, not my lining, but my pocket, my inner pocket, and then I'm going to fold it in half. Okay. And then, if you can see in the camera, this crease is my guide, and the crease here I created with the pocket is also my guide. So now I'm going to take my rotary, but my friction pen. Okay, I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to measure about 10 centimeters. And if you're using inches, it'll be 4 inches away. And then this is where I'm going to place my pocket, right there in the center. And then I'm going to take some sewing pins, and I'm going to pin the not the fabric, but the inner pocket onto the lining. Give it a good, they're secure right there, and right here in the middle. And then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. First, in the sewing machine, you need to stitch here, okay? And once you've done that, then you're going to stitch here in the middle, so we can create 2 pockets. So let's go to the sewing machine. As you can see here, I'm at the sewing machine. I'm starting here on the side, and I'm going to start back stitch, I'm here the corner. I'm going to lift my foot presser, and I'm going to shift the fabric to continue to sew along here. Again, I'm going to lift the foot presser, shift the fabric, and lower the foot presser. Back stitch. As you can see, I'm in the middle here. I'm going to create the divider here, the stitch here. Back stitch. Back stitch. As you can see, we finished stitching, making the pockets. Now we have 2 pockets. Now that that's done, I'm going to turn the fabric this way to make it easier so everybody can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to fold the fabric in half. And I'm gonna move it this way here. Okay, so now I'm making sure it's aligned. And I created a small little template because it makes it easier for me to demonstrate while I'm doing the video of this tutorial. Take your friction pen. Here in the corner with this template is 2 centimeters, and if you're using inches, is 3/4. So it'll be 2 centimeters and 2 centimeters. If you're using inches, will be 3/4 inch and 3/4 inch. So I'm gonna lay it here in the corner, and I'm gonna mark it with my friction pen. Okay. Do the same thing to this side. Oh, make sure that you're only doing it on the side here that there is no fold. Okay. I forgot to mention that. I hope I did. So here, okay, again, I'm gonna mark it. Came out a little crooked. Okay, so we're gonna cut these 2 corners only, and I'm gonna use my scissors. And let me just cut this end here first. Now tilting it, and I'm gonna cut this end. We have both of these corners cut off. All right, and hopefully you can see it here. So this is what it looks like. Now we're gonna put this aside, and then we are going to work on the next step. Next, you need to cut out your fabric. And the fabric you need to cut is 1 piece. This fabric has been ironed, and there's only 1 piece we're gonna be cutting. And the size you're gonna be cutting is 76 centimeters by 53 centimeters. And if you're using inches, you're gonna be using 29 7/8 inches, and you're gonna be cutting by 20 7/8 inches. So once you have that done, we are going to, of course, I'm going to flip the printed side facing down, and then I'm going to fold the fabric in half. Now that I have the fabric piece folded in half, again, I'm going to take my fabric pen, and I'm going to take my template. Make sure again that you're not going to be doing that on the folded side. You're going to do it over here where it is cut open. So now I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the lining piece. I am going to use template to start marking my little corner here, and I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Let me just tilt it this way, it makes it easier. And then do the same thing and line it up. So once you finish, again, marking out your corners, you're going to start to cut. The other side. Now that I have both corners of the fabric cut, I'm going to show you the next step. Next step, as you can see here, I have my lining piece here with a pocket, and then I have my fabric. In the middle, you're going to see I have my zipper. So this zipper size is 50 centimeters, and if you're using inches, it's 19 3/4 inches. So now I'm going to take my zipper, and I'm going to place it here on top. I'm going to make sure that your zipper pull is facing up. And then I'm gonna take, as you can see here, I'm gonna take the printed side, I'm gonna face it down. So it's facing down. And then I'm going to align, as you can see here, making sure the zipper is aligned. So I'm gonna make sure that this cut corner aligns with the lining. So the fabric aligning with the lining, and the same thing over here. And then I'm gonna take my fabric clips and I'm gonna sandwich everything together. As you can see, I finished adding the fabric clips to secure the fabric, the lining, and the zipper together. We're gonna take it to the sewing machine, and then I'm gonna stitch here all across here. I'm here at the sewing machine. I'm gonna start to sew. I'm coming here to the end. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the zipper, and then I'm gonna restart to stitch again. As you can see here, I finished stitching across. Now I'm going to open up, and then I'm going to do this. Now that I turned the lining over, as you can see, we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and then we're going to top stitch here. I would recommend that you give it a light ironing just to make sure everything is slightly flat and nothing is shift while you are sewing. So let's go to the sewing machine and top stitch all this here going across. So now I'm going to start to top stitch, back stitch, as you can see, I finished top stitching. Now I'm going to take my fabric piece and then line it up here on top, and then I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to do the same thing to the lining, line it up here, making sure everything is nicely lined, and then take your fabric clip and start clipping it together. As you can see, I finished placing the fabric clip. We're going to take it to the sewing machine, and then we're going to start to sew here across. I'm at the sewing machine here. I'm going to start to sew. Now I'm going to open up the zipper. And start to sew. As you can see, I finished stitching here. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the fabric around. Now give it a good press, and then we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and then we're going to top stitch here across. As you can see here, I opened up the zipper, so it makes it easier for me to top stitch. So here I go to top stitch. As you can see, I finished top stitching. Now I'm going to turn the fabric, pulling the lining out. Once you have the fabric open up like this, you're going to first make sure that these two pieces of fabric are lined up, and I'm going to place a sewing pin here to secure it, and do the same thing for the lining. And then you're going to do the same thing to this side over here. Line it up. Once you finish aligning both of these ends, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure 8 centimeters. 8 centimeters. And if you're using inches, it's going to be 3 1/8 inches. And then I'm going to take my huge ruler here, so it makes it easier for me to align and make a nice straight line here. So if you have one of these table cutters or these grids that has these measurements, that makes it much easier to align things. So I'm going to move this a little bit down. I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to make that line going across. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side over here. I'm going to measure 8 centimeters. And that's 3 1/8 inches. And then again, mark it over here. Now that I marked that, I'm going to use my ruler. Once you do that, you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So as you can see, the lining, both sides are marked, and that also applies to the fabric. Both sides are marked. Once you have done that, you need to take your iron, make sure your iron is nicely hot. And this is what I'm going to do. So I am going to move this, and you see where the line is. I'm going to roll it out here, fold it, and then take my iron and iron it. Once you finish ironing this side here, again, where you see the little markings, that long mark that we made, I'm going to fold it, align it, make sure everything is good. Give it a little press with my fingers. And then again, take your iron and give it a good press. So once you finish ironing those two marks, this is what it's going to look like. You refold the flap, and then you're going to do that to the other side, to the fabric. Okay, now I'm going to move and align the mark that I made. Finger press it to make sure it's along the line, the red mark that I made. Once you do that, you're going to take your iron and give it a good press. Once you finish ironing that, then again, you're going to fold where you made the second line. Make sure that it's aligned. And once that is aligned, again, you take your iron, give it a good press. And again, as you can see, there. So we have that little fold going on there. So once you completed that, we are going to take our fabric clips. I'm just going to secure this here and secure this here so it doesn't shift or move. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Secure it. And then over here, I'm going to do the same thing. Just give it a clip. Secure. And then here too, So once you put your fabric clips all around to secure the fabric, you're going to be leaving an open space here in this area. And you're going to be leaving about 8 centimeters. If you're going to be using inches, is 3 1/8 opening here. I am going to use my sewing pins to let me know that this is the area where I cannot stitch over. Next, we are going to stitch across. So we're going to start from here and stitch across and end right here. Do the same thing, stitch across and end right here. And then we're going to do the same thing, stitch across and end right here. And then begin and stitch and end right there. So let's go to the sewing machine. I'm here at the sewing machine, and the seam allowance is going to be 1 centimeters, and inches will be 1 3/8. I'm coming to where I left the needle. That's to let me know that I cannot stitch past that. I'm going to back stitch. Remove the needle. Now I'm going to start where I remove the needle, back stitch, back stitch. On this section here. And we're coming to the end. As you can see, we finished stitching across. Now I'm going to put my hands to the opening. Make sure you open up the zipper, and then we're going to pull the fabric inside out. And as you can see, look with the bag, look how the corners have been created. It's nice. So both ends have created a little triangle, which is great. Okay, now for the final, you need to take your strap, and over here, I'm going to align this very well. And then I'm going to place my strap right there in center, making sure everything is center, and then take a fabric clip to hold it. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. So I'm going to close the zipper to make it easier. And then again, I'm going to align everything here, center all. Okay. And then I'm going to move my zipper a little bit open so I can center this. And then clip it. And then we're going to the sewing machine, and we are going to stitch across both of the strap to make sure it's secure. So let's go to the sewing machine. I'm here by the sewing machine, and I'm going to start to sew. And back stitch. And you're going to do that to the other strap on the other side of the bag. As you can see, I finished stitching the strap to the bag. Both straps are attached. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. Let me just move the zipper here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put here a fabric clip to secure it in place here. Let me just put it here, and let me just put it here, and make sure everything is even. I should have done that in the beginning. Okay, even. And then we're going to do the same thing to this side. Turn it. make sure everything is nicely even here. And I'm gonna put a fabric clip here and a fabric clip over here. And then we're gonna take it to the sewing machine, and then we are going to sew 1 centimeters. If you're using inches, is 3/8. And you're gonna do that to both sides. So let's go to the sewing machine. You're gonna start to sew. My seam is a little bit wider. It's because I have these little teeth here in the zipper. And I'm gonna try to avoid it as I sew. So here I go. Back stitch. And back stitch. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So as you can see, I finished stitching both sides. Now I'm going to turn it in. And you see how the bag is coming out very nicely. Now one last thing we have to do is we need to close the opening here on the lining. So for this, all you have to do is just fold it, clip it, so it could be more aligned. So once you finish stitching that on the sewing machine, then your bag is completely done. This is what it looks like here. It's really cute. This is a really nice bag. And of course, it has the inner pockets here that we can put stuff in here. And it's a nice bag. So we are finished. Look how cute. And we have, of course, the triangles at the end, which makes it even much nicer. So we have completed making our hobo bag.
I hope you all enjoy this tutorial on how to make this hobo bag with an inner pocket. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends and your family. And if you're not a subscriber, click on the subscribe button and also click on the bell. So when you do click on the bell, YouTube notifies you every time I upload a new video. And also I want to make note in the description box below, I'm going to have the measurements in centimeters and also in inches for everyone. And also I'll have the list of the materials and tools you need, and also a link where you can purchase these materials and tools. So until next time, bye.